Friends, family, and fans, welcome back to our channel. I'm your host, Fania Thomas. Today we sit down with Max Miller. He's got a really dope show on YouTube called Tasting History, and it's all about food.
Welcome to Tasting History. I'm your host, Max Miller. On this show, we recreate dishes from the past, often using historical recipes, but updated for your modern kitchen at home. We take a look at the most fascinating stories behind the cuisine and the culture from whence it came, from ancient Rome to Ming China to medieval Europe and beyond. Join me for new episodes every Tuesday here on Tasting History.
Let's talk about you and this fantastic show that you have. For those people tuning in who aren't aware of your wonderful channel, just give us a little blurb about it.
Yeah, so it's Tasting History on YouTube, and I basically take old recipes from the past, short past, like 100 years ago, all the way to ancient Rome and ancient China, and I do my best to recreate them in a modern home kitchen. And then I talk a little bit about the history of either the food itself or the culture. It's very low-key, but fun.
I really like the music choices that you have behind your video.
My background is in music, so I'm an avid fan of especially like Baroque and Renaissance music, so I try to sneak that in, and I find it just kind of gives that kind of PBS feeling to all of my videos.
So how do you decide what to taste every single month? Because there's so much history and so much food.
There is. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming. So when I was starting, I really focused on kind of medieval Europe and really specifically medieval England, because that's my interest. I love medieval England. I love all British history. And it's easier for me, one, because I know the history like the back of my hand, and two, because it's in English and I speak English fairly well. So, working on it. But as the channel has grown, I've really started to try to get out of my comfort zone. So while I'm still always going back to that time period, and I do a lot of English language recipes, each month I try to pick something that is really foreign to me. This month I did an ancient Chinese recipe. My Mandarin, especially my classical Chinese, non-existent. Doing, Spanish and Greek and just things that are out of my comfort zone. And there are still so many things to do. A lot of Native American cuisine and African. I haven't even touched Africa, which is crazy. I try to pick a few episodes that are going to be easy for me to do, and always pick one that's going to take me a little bit more time. It might take me 80 hours to work on one of those episodes. So I can't do that every week. I would never sleep. But what's great is that fans send in suggestions. And sometimes, I have a list now of about 400 different things that I want to make. So it's going to take me years. So I'm not going to run out of food, and you're not going to run out of history. So sometimes it's kind of like, what am I going to make this week? I just go to the list and pick something.
What has been some of the most challenging tastes or recipes to make, and some of the most nailed that?
The 1-year anniversary episode. So I wanted to do something big and spectacular. And I made a cockatrice, which is a medieval mythical beast. In medieval times, they loved creating new animals from existing animals. So this is a pig and a capon that are stuffed, tied together, and then roasted.
Okay, so when you go into Gilson's and Ralph's and all these fun places, what are they saying to you when you're like, so I need this type of animal?
So I have found, and the great thing is living in Los Angeles, I have access to these kinds of things. I've found at the farmer's market down by the Grove, they have several wonderful butchers and poulterers who can basically find me anything that I need that is legal. There are some animals that, I'm not going to be able to get a flamingo anytime soon. I'm not going to get a kangaroo. So I do stick to legal animals. But they were very, very helpful in getting me things in the size that I wanted to, because I didn't want, a huge pig or anything like that. But it was difficult for me to make. One, because technically it's really hard. I've never sewn a button, let alone animals. But also there's just something weird about doing it. And work, I found that there is a reason that we call pig meat pork or ham. And it looks like pork or ham because when you call it a pig and when it has a face, you have a different reaction to working with it and to eating it. So it was a learning experience. When it comes to easier things to do, this last week, the episode that I did 2 days ago, or yesterday, for semla, which is a cream-filled, almond-filled bun from Sweden that's very popular to eat around this time of year. It was amazing. Everyone should make it or buy them if they can. I would eat those every day. I made like 20 of those cream-filled buns. I don't need to eat 20 of those cream-filled buns.
I wish I was your neighbor. I would forsake COVID and be like, hi, send one over, please. Thank you. Tell no one.
So if you are a super fan of tasting history, you got to watch Catch Up with Max. It's a different channel. It's basically my fiance interviewing me about past episodes. So we went back all the way to episode 1. We're just kind of going through and digging in, talking about some of the comments that people have left, things that I learned since then, things that didn't necessarily make it into the video because there's so much stuff that doesn't necessarily make it in, just otherwise they'd be very, very long episodes. And then we also talk about other things like how to build a YouTube channel and some of the ins and outs of the business.
So what's been some of the craziest requests you've gotten from fans?
The craziest requests have been, well, everybody wants me to make the fried black rat, which I mentioned in a video that I did on payasam, which is an Indian dish. And in the book where I got the recipe, there's a recipe for fried black rat. I'm not going to make a black rat. I'm just not going to do that. I'm never going to make shark fin soup. I think it's an abhorrent practice and shouldn't be eaten. So I've had a couple people say, oh, it's a fascinating history. And it does, but I'm never going to make that. So maybe I will talk about it. There are actually a few dishes in this next week's episode because what I'm talking about is really outlandish, spectacular dishes that are really there just for the drama of the dish. And one of those is an ortolan bunting, which is a little bird that is treated horribly throughout its life and then drowned in Armagnac before being eaten whole. I'm not going to eat that. First of all, it's illegal in the United States, but I'm not going to eat that. But I do talk about it and talk about the history. So there are kind of ways around some of the dishes that I'm not going to make. So I just baked some ancient Egyptian bread. So that's going to be in March. And I'm looking at doing something for St. Patrick's Day as well as Passover.
Well, we hoped you all had a little bit of fun and learned a little bit more about Max Miller that you didn't already know. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And most importantly, don't forget to turn on notifications. We're going to be dropping interviews all month long and you don't want to miss out. See you on the next one.